Hi, and welcome to today's tutorial. So this tutorial is going to focus on pivot table options. This is a data set that I created to illustrate how this works. So I'm just going to go to the Insert tab, Pivot Table. I'll accept the default selection, New Worksheet, OK. And then I want to add region and product to the column. So region is the rows, product to the columns, total sales, and the values. So this is what it looks like. And if you watched the previous video where I demonstrated the pivot table design tab options, we had something like this. So in this video, we're focusing on pivot table analyze, but specifically under the options here, this options dialog. Okay, so I had another video on the pivot table analyze features. So if you look at my channel, you should find if you're interested in that. Okay, but I'm focusing on options here today. So I'm going to go start from the display tab here, and you'll see here, classic pivot table, enable dragging fields into the grid. If I try to, okay, let me add one more field, salesperson here to region to make it bigger. And then if I try to drag units sold here, you can see it turns into this no-go circle that doesn't allow me to drop units sold. But if I come here to pivot table options, display, classic pivot table layout, and I click OK. Now, if I come here and drag units sold, it doesn't display that thing. It allows me to drop this. So units sold was added to the value. So I have some of units sold here. And so that's what all the versions of Excel allow you to do in a pivot table by default. So if you're used to doing that in older versions of Excel, in this newer version, you have to, Office 365, you have to actually enable it under the pivot table options here. Okay, now let's look at printing. Okay, obviously I have this here. If I wanted to print this here, and I went to the print tab. So let's go here, file, print. Okay, this is what it looks like. But you can see that there's a plus button that allows you to expand that's not displayed in this print. Okay, so if I go back here and right click, so there's a minus here. Depending on how it looks, you will see a plus or a minus. If it's already expanded, you'll see a minus, and if it's not already expanded, it's a plus. Okay, so here, if I right click, pivot table options, I have the option to under printing, print expand or collapse buttons when displayed in a pivot table. So if I enable this and I enable print titles, and I go here, file, print, you can see that now the expand or collapse buttons are displayed. So the options allow you to customize how this thing gets printed. So that's how the printing options and the pivot table options work. And then, so we looked at printing. You can experiment turning these on and off. But layout and format, okay, you have a few options here. So I'm interested in this here. For error values, what do you want to show? Or for empty cells, what do you want to show? I deliberately made this data so that there's some empty cells to show you that, for example, if I click for empty cell, if I enter 0 here, then all empty cells should be filled with 0. So if I click OK, you can see that all the empty cells are now filled with 0. So there might be an advantage or a time when you want it to behave this way. So that's how you customize that. Back to pivot table options. Obviously, I can do something similar to specify what should be displayed when there's an error. I don't have errors here, so it will not display, but you can specify whatever you want to display if there's an error. Okay, so those are some options on the layout and formatting. Totals and filters, you can choose to show grand total for rows or columns or turn them off. You can also choose to allow multiple filters per field or disable it, which will then prevent you from having multiple filters for any field. And use custom list when sorting. Excel has its custom sorting orders. So this allows you to use custom lists. If you're trying to sort and it doesn't allow you to use custom lists, you need to check this for that to work. Okay, so if I were to turn this off, you can see, actually, let me go back here. It doesn't always work for every specific data set, but actually, if you remember, if you watch my previous video, there's a place to turn on and off grand totals and subtotals. So if I click here, you can see subtotals are gone. Actually, I can keep it off for rows, grand totals off for rows and columns. So there are no totals anymore. And then if I turn it on for rows and columns, it's back for the grand totals, and I can have it on for subtotals at the bottom of the group, and we can see this here. So there's some options for turning off totals under the design tab as well, but I go back to pivot table options, and so we've seen layout. There are various options here under totals and filters, various options that you can turn on and off to see how it work, what happens when you actually enable this, because there might be times when you want to be able to allow multiple filters, and if it wasn't working, you would need to come to the options here and check this box as well. And alt text is for putting what should be displayed for accessibility reasons. And so I might say pivot table options and put some description there that describes what this is. So I might copy something from here and paste this here as the description so that people who are not visually impaired will know what this is about. So I click OK. Okay, so obviously there's a lot more to pivot table options, but hopefully this is a good introduction. The data tab here allows you to so if you save source data with file, this you can use it when you're offline. If you don't, then you'll need to be online if the data is connected to an online source. You can choose to refresh an opening file so that anytime you open this file, the pivot table is automatically refreshed. So there are times when you want to do this. But the disadvantage is it might some of these options might take up more memory and slow down the program or the pivot table. So if you want to turn them off, you can keep them off. So I hope you like this video. Like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.